What's happening, Captains? Thank you so much for joining me today. Today, if you saw the community post on YouTube, then you know what this video is about. But recently, I had to go on a work trip to Boston. And the reason for going up there is to help install VR systems and train doctors on how to use them. So for over 14 years of my life, I've worked at this company called Virtually Better, where we create VR programs and then put them through NIH testing grant processes to prove their efficacy. And we then use them to treat people with like PTSD for vets, phobias, addictions, and help with relaxation. And all this stuff is clinically proven to work. And after we do the grant work and the research projects, and we create it in 3D, which is where I take a part in, is creating the environments, we will sell them to hospitals and stuff, and then doctors and therapists and psychiatrists and clinicians can use them to treat people in a clinically proven effective manner. There's this awesome program called Home Base in Boston. They're sponsored by the Boston Red Sox, Harvard, and Massachusetts General. And they mostly focus on a vet population, and they're treating vets with PTSD using exposure therapy. And they wanted to add VR systems to their sort of repertoire. So I went up there to install the systems, and then we're also going to do a training for their CE credits. CE credits are continuing education credits that doctors in the US have to do every year to, maintain their knowledge and sort of prove to the government that they're not falling behind, right? And so training on this new tool for them to use is a great way to do that. But during that training, they also wanted me to film. Now, that was a really exciting prospect because obviously I love to shoot video and photos and stuff. But the imperative here was not to make a great film. That was secondary to not interrupting everyone's sort of experience in the training. I needed to be a ghost. My equipment needed to be a ghost. And so when I got up there and saw kind of how things were set up, I was like, oh, my big camera setup isn't going to work. Like, it's going to be too noticeable, too in the way, even though it'll look amazing. So what I did is I went out and bought something that I thought would film with a good quality but be very discreet. And the reason I felt this way is because I'm sure, like you all, I was interested in it, and I've seen just dozens of review videos on it. So I was like, had this thing in my mind, and I'm like, oh, well, let me try it out. And obviously, if you've seen the title of the video or anything, you know that that thing is the DJI Osmo Pocket 3. I went and I picked this up. I got the creator kit so I could have the lav mic and the battery pack and all the extra stuff, just so I knew I would have everything I needed. And I shot with this bad boy professionally for over 16 hours because the lectures and everything that I was shooting were 8 hours long, and it was a 2-day session. So we've got lots of real world professional practice in with this thing. And I think I can give you guys a rather unique perspective on it. So let's get into talking about it now that you know my reasons for getting it and kind of how I used it. Now, obviously, right off the bat, this thing is super tiny, so it's very discreet. So it absolutely lived up to the need of me being off into the corner out of everyone's way and then just flipping it on and shooting with it. Now, a super cool thing that also made it nice and easy is I have active track. So I can sit here and sort of just move around and it follows me. But that made it awesome for the speaker. So I could like be in my little corner and I could set up where I thought I was out of the way but still getting a decent shot. And then if they got up to move around and talk, as people like to do during lectures, they were able to just easily be followed. And I could make sure that I was staying out of the way more so than focusing on getting the shot, which was incredibly helpful for me. Now, the other thing that is killer is, I'm sure you saw it already, turning it on. I mean, it's that quick. It is so stinking fast. Like, there is off, on, ready to shoot, just like that. You hit record and go. The thing is so fast at that, and it makes it just really nice and easy. Like coming back from lunch, getting set up for stuff, super, super, super easy. The other thing I was really impressed with were the mic systems on board. So it has mics here, here, and here for a nice omnidirectional mic. And these things were great, like positioning it just right. I could get audience questions and the speaker, you know, talking and doing everything, and it sounded really, really good. I mean, it's a nice quiet lecture hall, but still, it sounded great. It picked up stuff from a distance. The omnidirectional mic worked really well. What you're hearing right now is the audio from the onboard mics. Like it's definitely usable. It's great. Works a lot better in quieter environments, not with rushing water running by, but it still picks up things really, really well, and it's very impressive for onboard mic systems. Now, I did have my Rode Wireless Pro going as a backup, and the reason I did that is because in my testing the day before we shot, you know, I tested it out just to kind of see what was going on with everything. Wow. This is great. I freaking love the snow. This battery life just isn't quite as good. On the Rode Wireless Pro, they advertise 7 hours of battery on a charge, and you pretty much get that. On this, DJI advertises 6 hours of battery, because this is the DJI Mic 2, and you get that unless it's cold. I don't think this thing has as good of insulation around the battery as the Rode does, because when it was cold out, the battery dropped, but not anything that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm never gonna be able to use it. It's just something to keep in mind. But this mic has a lot of pluses too. Like, first off, the design is so cool. I mean, I absolutely love some see-through smoky tech. N64s, this was my jam, and seeing this brought back just makes me so happy because I love see-through tech. I hope more people catch on with this, but also the sound quality is really good, like beyond looking cool. Like it's really good. I'll throw in some examples here for the mic. Like for instance, this mic here is fantastic and it's easy to use. Plus it connects to the Osmo Pocket 3 without needing a receiver. It just automatically pairs. And another plus about it is it will connect to your phone and other devices without it needing to pair. Like it'll just connect via Bluetooth. Like with these bad boys, as good as they are, I have to plug them into my phone. So you kind of just get a bigger, more cumbersome setup, and this just goes for it. Now, the DJI Mic 2 also has some noise canceling stuff. You can just click the power button after it's on, and then the light will turn a little bit yellow, and that's noise canceling. It's a yellow-green sort of thing. Since it is kind of green, it's kind of hard to tell, except for you can see on here, here's the normal background noise, and then here's with noise canceling. You see how precipitously the green bar at the top drops, and that's your noise level. The build quality on it is absolutely fantastic. I mean, there were times where it would get bumped off the table and stuff while we were doing said lecture, and it's held up so well. You know, just like with anything DJI, I always just get the Care Refresh because it's so reasonably priced and their customer service is so good when you have it. So that's what I've done. But all in all, just a great little package for setting up and starting video recordings or wanting to do very discreet video recordings. I think when I'm out and about that I'm going to use this a lot more vlogging than I would my A7 IV, because this thing just calls a lot of attention to itself, and it makes me very self-conscious when I'm talking to the camera in public. Even if we're in the woods somewhere and I'm on a walking trail, when people walk by, I get like, oh geez, I really don't want an audience here while I'm doing this live, right? So, and I also don't want to like take away from anyone else's experience when I'm around. So I think this is going to be my go-to for kind of vlogging out in the open from now on. And then I will use this for here and just for really nice shots. And I'll always have it on me because I'm always taking pictures. Now it has tons of awesome features that you've probably seen. So I'm not going to go into everything, but things that I used on this trip that I really, really like. One, the color is amazing. Like if you look at these shots here of Boston Harbor, this is just the normal color profile, not even the log format or the hybrid log gamma. This is just standard 10-bit color profile, and it looks beautiful. Low light, you can see here, we have these great shots from inside the airplane on my way back. And I mean, it is dark. Like this is lights off on the airplane. And like you can still see it's a little noisy, but not unusable, especially in a vlogging situation. Like this is a great little package for a camera. And another thing that I really like is the slow-mo. I mean, you can shoot 4K 120 frames a second. That is so awesome. And then if you're not in slow-mo mode, because it has its own little mode dials, you've got tons of options that you can cycle through. And they have a standard slow-mo mode, but then they also have 4K 60 on the regular mode. So you can still slow it down shooting like regular video. And that's just, again, more awesome options. They've got great time-lapse and hyperlapse stuff. I think the hyperlapse on like the GoPro, it works a little better because GoPro's just really good at hyperlapse, especially when you're automating it, right? Their automated hyperlapse is killer, but this one is really good. So if you don't have both, you're not gonna miss it, but if you do have both, you'll notice a difference. And I think that's kind of what I've seen with most reviews is people look at it as a thing with like, oh, you know, I need it to be better than this other thing I have, or it's not performing as well as this one thing. For a lot of people, this is going to be your only camera. Or it might be a step up from your cell phone, so that way you get gimbal footage without huge crops and limitations. And I think looking at it from that perspective, this thing is absolutely amazing. You can always spend more money and you can always get something a little better, but just starting out and wanting like a way to just elevate your content, this is a great little device. If you put it on a pole, like just screw it in with the 1/4 thread that's there and put it on a pole, you can create some really cool boom shots like these here. It's a great way to sort of trick crane shots or drone things in areas where you can't use either of those things, or you don't have the budget to use a stinking crane, right? Especially if you're doing YouTube, like you're not gonna have a crane. If you do, that's awesome. You've been doing really well on YouTube. Good job. but yeah, so it's just a way to get cooler, more different cinematic shots without having to break the bank. And this thing offers a lot of creative control for you to be able to do that. Another really useful feature is the ability to set waypoints on time lapses. Like it has a great hyperlapse mode that will let you just automatically do things if you don't want to worry about it. But being able to set waypoints is really, really nice to get kind of the perfect time lapse that you want. And I like that ability being added. The little case that it comes with on the creator kit, you get the wide angle magnetic filter, and like it all just works together so well. But this case is really cool because you can take those magnetic filters and put them down in the bottom of it. So there's an extra one here and then one here dedicated for the wide angle lens. And it works great. And you just take this thing face down, put it in there and clip it and you're good to go. And you can even take the mic and clip it right there. I mean, super great, convenient little package that you can stick in your pocket and go, like the namesake says. Another thing I wanted to mention that I found really useful that I haven't seen many people talk about is the fact that you can hot swap these little battery packs. So it can be on and running, and you can swap them in and out, and it doesn't get mad at you. It doesn't care. So if you're out using the dummy bottom with the tripod and you need some extra juice, you can stick that battery pack on, no problem. Now, as you can probably see here, one of the things that kind of bugs me and could easily be fixed in a software update, and I'm not really sure why it's happening, is that the fact that the auto white balancing is a little cooler than it should be. And that's especially true inside. I noticed this a lot when I was shooting the training because it really wanted to make things way colder than it was inside. Now, you know, I saw a lot of people when I was looking at reviews on this saying, oh, you need to get the creator kit, don't get the regular one. And I thought, oh, well, they just want the commission, right? Like that's what's going on. But really and truly, the creator kit offers enough extra stuff that it makes it a lot more worth the small amount of extra money that it costs to get it. Right. I hope you enjoyed that sort of perspective of me from shooting with this professionally for a lecture series, what I've talked about feature-wise and all of that sort of stuff. And if you can't put it all together from what I've said so far, I really do think this is a good camera. Do you need it? No, but I mean, you don't need any camera really, but it's a great place to start if you want to start your video journey. It's great to have if you want to be very discreet. And it's not going to let you down quality-wise if you get it. Now, understand there are some limitations just because of the size, but the fact that it's a 1-inch sensor makes it nice in low light. It makes everything just a little bit better, a little more elevated, and it does a great job of it. Now, obviously, I didn't get sponsored by DJI. Like, this is just my thoughts of having to buy it myself and then use it professionally, and I hope it makes sense for you. I hope you've enjoyed it. And if you have any more questions about it, please let me know, because I was kind of struggling with, oh, what should I show off and talk about versus what everyone else has talked about. So if you want to hear my perspective on something else, please put that in the comments below. Let me know. If you've liked this, please like, subscribe, and let me know in the comments. That kind of stuff really helps me out. And I hope that you've gotten some value from this, and as always, I hope to see you out there. Bye. Also, separately, my flight got delayed on the way back, but I was able to stay in the Chase Sapphire Lounge there in Boston, and oh my gosh, that's the nicest lounge I've ever been in any of my traveling. Like, it was lots of great seating options, books to read, showers. You could do spa treatments and stuff, and they all had like tons of food and drinks made to order. But it made my flight being delayed almost worth it because I got to stay in this super nice lounge with great food, lots of awesome people to talk to. But yeah, if you're ever in the Boston airport, definitely check out the Chase Sapphire Lounge, assuming you have one of the cards so you can get in. But yeah, I mean, made the flight delay so much better. So let me just take you through so you can see a little bit of it, because it was awesome.